And thank you for inviting me here to TechHub Riga. It's amazing to be in this space. I was here at the opening party, and I must say, it looks like you moved in. And great to see so many of you here today. My name is Maja Brisvall. I'm the founder of this initiative called Shift, an accelerator based in Stockholm. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story, what the scientists say right now about the Mother Earth, sort of the business intelligence of the planet. And then I'm going to tell you how I think entrepreneurs and startups should be solving some of our challenges together with us. Let's see if we can get this one. So, what does science say? I have to back up a little bit, because when I heard Sergio talk right now, what happened, Mr. Lee? Yeah, I was a little bit dreamed away of what it's like running a startup. And I had two startups, one in San Francisco and one in London. And I know how hard and how wonderful it is. One of my startups was a consultancy business where I learned how to sell, and that was San Francisco. We had a garage company, and basically out of, on the floor, one bed, one desk, and trying to sell to the Silicon Valley people back in the 90s. And that's where I learned sort of the startup crash course, what does the value say, what is the logic behind building startups, and what is the nerd universe about, and how do technology and products scale. And then I had my startup in London, and that was a B2B business, and that failed miserably. I didn't have this long runway, and also the market went up in the air around 2001. And I was really pissed because I tried to do mobile applications for youth market in Europe and in Africa. And what we learned through our hard lessons, obviously, was that doing your own apps on mobile handsets, we were a bit ahead of our time. I think it's about happening, perhaps now, a couple of years, on the iPhone. But you can have great visions, and you think technology is going to move, and it's got stalled. And finally, we're here today with this app universe, and the software game has all changed, and it's all beautiful and wonderful in many ways. But it was hard times back in around 2000. So what did I do? I got sick of the telcos, I got sick of technology, and I ended up hanging out with the visionaries of the planet. Basically, I started hanging out with the scientists. And we happen to have one of the best research institutes in the world in Stockholm. It's called Stockholm Resilience Center. It's a multidisciplinary research institute. And I must say, I haven't been in such a place ever since I was perhaps at MIT Media Lab, or back at Stanford, or possibly hanging out with some guys out in the desert. That is a transdisciplinary visionary institute where they try to gather all the knowledge about the planet and how we are doing. So this is humanity. 10,000 years of grace. And let's see here if we can move this. It's been a pretty bumpy ride in the universe for our little planet. And we have had a pretty bumpy climate until just the last 10,000 years, where we are right now. And that's why it's been so nice, why we've been able to grow farms, go to the beach, hang out. But back here, when we had dinosaurs and all kinds of animals, we no longer know about. What we do when we start digging. We have sort of ended up here right now. And we are just on the border here. You're all familiar with the hockey stick. We all want our business to scale quickly. The problem is that Mother Earth is scaling now in many ways. You can see all these frightening year 2000 here. It's sort of everything is taking off. Coastal zones, ocean systems, atmosphere, northern hemisphere average surface temperature, great flooding, biodiversity. And I think if most of us follow the news feed right now, there's kind of a lot of turmoil. And they basically have the wrong shape, all of them at the same time right now. So overfishing, land degradation, loss of biodiversity, water depletion, and unsustainable consumption. This is like the trends of this. Last year, even The Economist stated that we are we're leaving the Holocene and moving into the Anthropocene. And what this means, it's a bumpy road ahead. We're leaving what was a stable climate. And the researchers right now have this hockey stick scenario. And they're saying that this is the world we're going to live with. We don't know exactly how it's going to, what impact it's going to have. But we have some, opportunities here. So rather than just talking about climate and the environment, they try to build a map of the planet. And they call it the planetary boundaries. And what we're trying to look at, climate, ocean acidification, ozone depletion, freshwater use, land use, biodiversity loss. And what we're trying to figure out is sort of where we're now. And I could say that what they learned down in Riga like just a month ago is the conclusion is that we have never had so much knowledge in so many areas about the state of the planet at the same time as we have right now. So that is a bit scary that we didn't have it before. On the other hand, it's great that we have it now. The question is, what do we do about it? And I think most of you who at least, went to school or went to business school, perhaps, some of you got an MBA, sort of got trained how to, even some of you might be into entrepreneurship education. It's like we have our economic system, we're going to build a viable business, and that is sort of one system. And then we have the nature. There have been a lot of people who've been studying environment, marine biologists, all kinds of researchers, and other people who want to protect nature at all cost. The challenge with this is that basically none of them are right. We have a sort of one planet. We need to live within the biosphere, and we need a social ecological system. Nature and people living together in a smart way. So with the temperature now being, you saw that sort of bumpy road, the thing we have right now is that we have never had such a hot planet as we have right now. So that is part of the challenge of how can we cool it down or can we stabilize it? And politicians obviously trying to do some things. But having a background as an entrepreneur and being trained in all this logic and hanging out with all these nerds comes up with iPhones and other beautiful applications. And I kind of believe in entrepreneurs being part of the solution. And the researchers come up with something they call social ecological innovations. Keep in mind, this is scientists, this is not business today. But what scientists say is that there might be ways coming up with innovations that do more than one thing. We can have multiple innovations. What we really need is a sort of a systemic change on that, a systemic innovation, having a system approach. And one of them is People. This is a Swedish entrepreneur, an architect, started out 7 years ago. He was traveling to the slums of Nairobi, Calcutta, everywhere in the world. The slums are growing crazily in a very quick way. And then he came up with, he figured out that toilets and infrastructure is not going to work. So he came up with this bag, pee-poo bag. You either pee or you poo in it. You put it on on top of a half bottle, and you make a knot on it. On the bottom of this is urea, and it's biodegradable. And once you're done, you put it in the earth, and it's a fertilizer for your little growing path. Or you sell it to a farmer, a bunch of these up in the rural area, and they get the fertilizer. So this is kind of an interesting innovation. It's obviously for the slums of the world. It is a prototype. They started doing it. It scales very nicely. It's totally environmentally friendly, and it also has a social benefit, since the women who used to go to the toilet in the night in the bushes got raped, and now they can stay at home. And it has a sustainable business model. It's sort of, it's just people are prepared to pay for it themselves, and they also go back and it's enabled kids and other people to have a salary to pick them up and sell them. So these are the kind of innovations sort of that have a multifunctionality, but this is just one of them. There's plenty more. So where are we? We're at a paradigm shift. And what is shift? Well, it's trying to connect these kind of logics together with entrepreneurship. So we accelerate a new generation of business towards sustainability. And I'm not talking big corporations here that you might want to have just clients if you run a B2B business. I'm talking a new generation of business of you guys in here, people around the Baltic, Nordics, basically around the world who just see the new logic, who understand the new technology and go like, maybe I should do like this. What we can do is not like, I know what a regular accelerator do. I know how seed camp works. I know people strive to get money from index and these guys, and it's all great. But I think in terms of the business intelligence we have, or the state of the planet, it would be really, really nice if we could start to shift this. And we get a group of shifters who start to innovate towards solving some of these challenges. So we started to design a program, which you apply into. We have a summer camp at our fortress. Late summer camp, we call it Brisvall in Sweden, at our fortress. And it's a little bit, where you have to build your team building, climbing the ladders, finding the treasure. But also, you meet with great scientists and fantastic mentors, but also investors, of course, because we need to move everyone at the same time. We need to build a community of everyone involved. And then we have mentors, and obviously in November we have a demo day with investors in place, and obviously future support for development. And who are our entrepreneurs we're looking for? So far what we've been thinking is that you're either in clean tech or you're working on digital services somehow. You're based in Nordics or Baltics. Somehow you have innovation that scales. That's sort of part of the DNA of the solution. And you want to create impact. It's for profit or non-profit. Doesn't really matter. It could be non-profit, still as a venture. And important, of course, is a fast learner, hungry, fast-moving, and visionary is good. But a good heart helps, It makes things easier. When it comes to investors, we find now this really interesting trend of mixed capital, where we used to have venture capitalists, investing in ventures, coming and looking for the hockey stick solutions. We see now that there is a lot of impact investors moving into the field. And these impact investors start many things out of the West Coast in California. There's a big conference there in I think it's end of September, October, called Social Capitalist Markets. They look for not just return on the financial returns, but also on environmental and social returns. This is important to know how you design your business and what the impact investors look for. We had a big conference in Malmö that we participate in last May, and there is a big investment network in Europe called Tonic Network, and it's big in the US as well with angel investors, impact investors. But then we also have regular angel seed investors who are interested in this field, VCs, banks, and sort of private equity firms as well. But again, we bringing them in as mentors, being part of the shift agenda. And mentors, again, is so important that they have startups experience and not live their entire life in big corporates because they don't know. Unless they're very good at selling, I would argue, And they know what rapid prototyping is about, and they're interested in exploring the planetary boundaries and learning. So this is sort of a bit of a learning journey. But again, it could be types of service. It doesn't have to be that complicated. It could be co-sharing. It could be like managing energy systems. It could be new form solar power. It's new lighting systems. It's not that super complicated. But what we want to give the opportunity is to get feedback early on your innovation. Is it really environment friendly, or is it just like sort of good? That is what researchers and mentors can help out with. So some of the examples of our mentors is Pais Larsson, Sustainability Director of Max, our largest hamburger restaurant in Sweden. Filippa Berglin sits on Axe Foods VC firm. Peter Nu and Gustav Rosell. Gustav Rosell used to be on the board of, management board of Sony Ericsson. And we have also other seniors, people who've been involved. Sara Arval is the head of R&D at Bonnier, and Andreas Ehn used to be the CTO of Spotify. And Rich Miner is one of the partners of Google, at Google. What's it called? I've forgotten that. Google Money, Google Investment. Sorry? Ventures, Google Venture, we have Rich. And he's been following us for quite a while. So it's good to have this mix. And this list is obviously growing with people every day. So please tell your friends to apply or ask me questions if you'd like to be part of Shift. And it would be great to have a chat with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Maja. Does anyone have any quick questions? Time for a few questions. Flame?
Is there money involved in the accelerator program?
Yeah, good question. We don't take equity, and we help to cover your costs. But we can't pay salaries this year. This is our beta year. So since it's state funded, it's funded by Vinnova and Swedish Institute, and we can't pay your salaries. But it goes on for 6 weeks basically, and you will come straight to Vaxholm and get your mentors, go back home and work, meet mentors, do Skype calls, and come back for demo day. So it's a pretty, work at your home sort of base, get the resources to accelerate.